Hello and welcome to an overview video of how to create a choose your own adventure story using Google Slides. In this video, I will cover how to use Google Slides to create your story and then include links to alternate endings at the end of your story. To get started, I'm going to show you an example choose your own adventure story that I created about a boy and his family during the Great Depression. In this story, the boy's father loses his job after the stock market crash of 1929. This short story progresses through several slides. I'm going to go ahead and click on the present feature here to put it in presentation mode. And I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I'm just going to show you. So his dad lost his job. He lived in a brownstone. His dad worked at the stockyards. They had to get in lines to get food. And so now it's time for the readers to decide how will this story about John Doe end. And I presented three choices here. You can see the buttons here that the reader will click on. And there's some text in the buttons kind of giving them a little bit of a preview about what the alternate ending there will be. One is called Riding the Rails. California Dreaming is the second one, and then it gets more depressing is their last option. So after clicking one of these, it will go to that alternate ending. So let's say the reader chooses to go for the really sad ending, it gets more depressing. So they click on this button and it takes them to the it gets more depressing ending to the story. And if they don't like this alternate ending, I did put in an option where readers could choose one of the other options below. So if they didn't like this ending, they could go to Riding the Rails and see what that ending's all about. So this is just an example choose your own adventure type story, and this one is related to history. Obviously, you don't have to just use these in a history class. You could use these in other content as well. For example, in science, you could choose to create a choose your own adventure story in which you pose a scientific problem for students and then have them choose among a few alternate solutions. This same concept could be used in math class, where students have a story problem that evolves in Google Slides, and then at the end of that problem, students choose among a few alternate solutions to the problem, with one of those solutions being the correct one and the other two being incorrect. Students can also create their own choose your own adventure stories to show their understanding of concepts, and then share them with other students so that those students can read them and then select among the alternate endings. Or another thing that could be done with these types of stories is that you could create the first part of the story for students and then have students create the alternate endings to the story. So how do we create these? I'm going to go ahead and press escape here, and I'm going to go to File, and we're going to create a new Google presentation, a new Google slideshow, to show you how to create these choose your own adventure stories with Google Slides. So in this case, I'm going to click on the Untitled presentation and just do sample choose your own adventure. Okay, and the first thing I like to do is right click and change the background. If you want it to remain a white background, that's fine, but I'm going to choose another color. We could choose an image for the background, but I'm just going to choose, we'll choose like a purplish color and then press done. Okay, and then we'll duplicate that slide a few times. We could do Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. And you could have a title slide if you want. You know, I did the Great Depression one earlier, so we're not going to recreate the whole thing, but we could just have a title slide, have a nice picture on it, but we won't put a picture on that one. And actually this one will go up top for the title slide. And then the second slide would be the beginning of our story. And so we'll just put, actually, I'm going to get rid of this text box and this one. I like to create my own text box. So we put, you know, the first part of story here. So whatever that would be. And then over here, we would probably want to include some type of image that goes with that. So we could click on the image icon and then do a search. Depression, there will be all kinds of images for that. So we'll just select that one. Then it will insert it, we drag it around, we can resize it if we need to. And we just keep going through that through these slides. Okay, so we let the story unfold, however many slides you need to do that. And then on this slide is where we would include the text telling our readers that we want them to choose the alternate ending. So we could say, to your right are 3 buttons with alternate endings to this story. Choose one to go to that ending. Okay, and then we would put in the buttons to link to the alternate ending. So how do we create the buttons? We go to the shape tool here, go to shapes, and I like this one right here for buttons. It's a rounded rectangle. Okay, and that looks about right. And so that they're all the same size, I create one, and I select it, do Control C on a Windows device, and then Control V, and then I just drag this one down. I'm going to have 3 alternate endings. Control V again, drag this one down, and you can see that red line there to show that it's lined up with the others above it. And then if I right click on this, I do edit text, and that allows me to type some text into it. So we want our alternate endings to be interesting to the reader. So if this was a science example, I know I said Great Depression at the beginning, but if it were a science example in earth science, and maybe students were learning all about tectonic plates and what can happen with those, maybe molten lava everywhere would entice them to click on that one. Okay, we'll select all the text here and center it. And then on this one, again, right click, edit text, maybe the earth swallowed the town. Okay, if I don't want that one to jump to 2 lines, Control A, we'll select all of that. Do 12. And then we would do a last option. So we could just do edit text and volcano was spitting rocks. Okay. And that would be our choices for the alternate endings there. So we also probably want to recolor some of these buttons just so they look different. So we'll leave the first one the same color that it already was. This one, we will select it, go to fill color, and change that one, and then go to the paint can and change this one to like, okay, so we have different colors for each of the buttons. Now we need some alternate endings. So let's create a new slide down here and duplicate it a couple of times so that we have these 3 alternate endings. We made those duplicate slides, and now what we're going to do is reformat the background on those. So maybe I just want different colors for each one. Change the background on this one and this one. Okay, so now we have these, and then we would go ahead and type in the alternate ending that, so this one would be molten rock everywhere. So we could put that title here, molten rock everywhere, and move this up. And then actually get rid of that, and then add a text box. Then I would have the molten rock melted was everywhere in the town. have the rest of the story there, and then probably find an image to go with that. So go ahead, click over here, and we would do insert image and rock, and maybe this one, select, and then it will insert itself in there. And then we would do the same thing with this one. This one would be about the earth swallowed the town, and then the last one, the volcano spitting rock. So how do students click on these and go to these slides here? So the molten lava everywhere. Right now, this button doesn't go anywhere, so we want it to go somewhere. So we select it, we click on it, we right click after we select it, and then we go down to link. And we're not linking to a URL, we're linking to another slide in the presentation. And in this case, it would be slide 7 over here where it says molten rock everywhere. So we would click here, and there it is. Okay, and then we press apply. Now, when this is in present mode, so if I do view, present, and students hover over this, it's just like a button on a web page. They click on it, and it will go to that molten rock everywhere slide. You would repeat this process by right-clicking on the button, then going down to link, and in this case, this would be slide 8 that this one would be going to. We would select that, press apply, and now it's ready for students when this is in present mode for them to go ahead. So view present, they click on this, and this would go to the slide, obviously it's blank right now, about the choice here, the earth swallowed the town. So this is how you create a choose your own adventure story using Google Slides. I hope this information helped. Thank you for watching.